Hi chat. Welcome in everyone. Happy Sunday to ya. Where do we start here? Oh yeah, with coffee. That makes things easy. Let's fix my earbud here first too, because music is not nearly as loud for chat as it is in my ear right now. Much better. Why did I just... I got in all of a rush at the beginning, just before stream started, to get my roasting rack cleaned up. And now I realize that wasn't the method I was planning on using for the duck. And so I rushed around getting this a little better looking. And it was all for naught. I'm going to butcher my duck today. We're going to save the wings and the breast for something in the future. I'm thinking I'm probably going to do duck breast dinner here sometime in the near future. And then the wings I'll probably put with the gravy for Thanksgiving. Went to the trouble of refilling my hummingbird feeders and I haven't seen any of them. And then I've got canned cream corn and sweet potatoes that I'm going to turn into mashed sweet potatoes. And that is the plan for tonight. Welcome in, everyone. Hello, I'm Chef JT. Happy to see you well. Welcome in, Nan Reader. Hello, JK. Get some schmutz on my hand. Don't know where that came from. Probably from cleaning dishes. Welcome in, everyone. Thank you for joining me tonight. Cheers. So I think we're going to start with the duck tonight. Starting with the duck. And we're hoping it cleans up nice and is fully defrosted, because I put it in water for a good 2 hours today. Sort of looks inappropriate. You know, I mean, imagine they do that to you after you die. And we're not as defrosted as I would like. So I guess we got all sorts of goodies for our Thanksgiving stock here. Because I'm not going to use the neck or the wings. I do have a bunch of turkey legs for making what's going to now be a turkey and duck stock. That's going to be what I use for my gravy. Yeah, don't get into the breast meat, damn it. I just wanted all the fat. Any bone? Is that a bone there? No? Okay. So there's one. Yeah, I don't have an air compressor to do Peking duck. I know there's a bunch of other so-called methods to do it, but let's include all that with that. Let's just go down there. Thank you for the follow. For anyone new in here, hello, I'm Jason. I cook your dinner on stream 4 nights a week. There's our second leg. Back is much better today, but it's still bothering me, and actually that reminds me. I'm going to deal with the pain. Hi, Crowdalt. I went over most of it earlier. I'm going to be using the carcass, this neck, and the wings for my Thanksgiving stock. I've also got a whole bunch of turkey legs that's going to go with that. And then the breasts are going to be another meal sometime here new soon. But not tomorrow night. This is still frozen enough. I think I want to leave this as it is right here, because it's going to be easier to get those chicken breasts nicely separated off of the bone when it's defrosted completely at the bone layer. Like, this is defrosted here, but this has still got ice chips in it. And so the underside of those breasts is probably still slightly frozen despite my 2-hour water defrost earlier. So I'm going to throw that in a bag and worry about that when I want to deal with the chicken breasts. Or turkey. Duck breasts. words. Now I do need some extra fat for this though, so it's sort of odd to say when you're using duck that I need more fat. I mean, ducks are so fatty. Ooh. Actually, we can leave that with the wings. I was just hopeful to get the fat off the top. Okay, back in the bag. How you been, Will? Now I'm just going to clean these up a little bit, get the edges a little bit more even on them. We're going to use all of this fat, but it doesn't need to stay on the actual leg and thigh. Same thing here. That's good to hear. Hopefully everyone's had a great weekend. I have had, like, I'm still just, like, coding away, dealing and stuff, just hunkered down at home. Like, it's like I haven't hardly left the house since I got back from San Diego. That and deal with trailer issues because new storage place. wants to play games. The company that took it over is a publicly traded company, and they've used the excuse that they need to charge us, unless I'm storing my trailer there, so this is probably more of a technicality for me than anything, but it's a frustrating one because my insurance covers, and they're wanting to charge, I think it's $12 a month in insurance fees to insure your units, the units for them, as if, they aren't just self-insuring themselves through a third-party company or something. Like, it is totally a shakedown. Like, we're not raising the rates, we're just charging you for insurance. But yeah. And so what I'm doing now is I am layering the bottom of this pan here. With fat. I don't want to set it down I want to keep the bottom clean, so I can keep putting it on the counter over here and not worry about it. And then we're going to pack these in here nice and tight and happy. Are we going same side? I guess we are. And there we have our legs tightly packed in there with a bunch of fat on the bottom. Next step, you need to melt some butter. I thought about trying to do this in the toaster oven since it's a small package. I was hopeful that I could maybe even set up my cell phone, because I can set up my cell phone where it's to stream. It may be delayed, but I realized after having dealt with my cell phone, my old cell phone in the past, and videoing, and it overheats. And I doubt the overheating problem would be at all any better with it sitting a couple inches away from a toaster oven. And so I gave up on that idea, unfortunately. Still working that out. I've seen people put cameras in ovens, but generally it's a situation where it's like a one-time YouTube video or something like that, where YOLO. It's not like it's set up to be regularly doing that. Metal.
HWAT.
Thank you for the resub. What? What are you referring to? We'll get that duck board out of the way and duck knife out of the way. Thank you. Nice. So we've got our duck here on the cutting board. I've butchered it, and we've got our legs and thighs there, along with a bunch of fat that I layered on the bottom of it. And now we're going to just pour some butter over the top. Pan and clean parchment. Just to catch the splatterage, which this may splatter a bit in the oven. This is sort of like quick version or blitz version of sous vide duck legs. Or not sous confit. Duck confit is amazing. I've made it before. I made it at the Culinary Institute at one of our restaurants there, or one of the restaurants there. And yeah, it's a process. It's like a 3-day process the way we did it there. This is I want duck legs, but I want it in like 2, maybe 3 hours. So we're gonna throw this in the oven now. The oven is not on yet. I'm now going to turn it on to 300. I am following the lovely and amazing Hank Shaw, who I do not know, but actually used to interact with quite a bit on like beginning of Twitter days. I sort of think like he is the go-to for wild game, at least like small wild game. He does all sorts of stuff like that. He's written it all. He's got pretty decent recipes on all of it. And so that's who I'm following tonight. And so we're going to be roasting this, starting this at 300, and we're going to keep it at 300. And his suggestion is if you got a more confident oven, a little more exact oven, you can shoot for 285-ish. I don't trust my oven. I don't think my oven really even gets up to the heats that I set it to. So I've set it to 300, and we're going to go with that. And we're going to take a look at it in about 90 minutes. silly. My oven's also got one of those really old, like, you know, it goes by ones, and then it goes by tens, and then it goes by hours. And so it always catches me with things like that. Like, if you just push it down and let it go, it counts from 1 to 10. And then it starts going 10, 20, 30, 40. You know, and so when you're setting the time, when you're setting the actual clock time, it's just a pain in the butt. And it's entirely because it was how cheaply made it was. Yeah, I'm sort of thinking of using it as sort of like my base underneath. I'm not really planning a gravy for with these, so I'm sort of thinking we'll sort of like sauce the plate with the creamed corn, have the sweet potatoes off to the side, and some hopefully beautiful duck. Sweet potatoes, cleanup. Let's do a little cleanup here first. Let's get these nasty raw duck pieces out of here. I seem to have this tendency to procrastinate on dishes when I get something large in the sink. And so, trying to fight that by washing this right now rather than, oh, I had a cutting board in the sink and so I didn't wash anything else the entire stream. Mel. I am envious of you having a dishwasher, though, regardless of you not being able to use the sink. What kind of frozen pizza are you going for? What's everyone's favorite frozen pizza, chat? I don't really have the room for one, otherwise I probably would have bought one years ago. I'm still tempted by the idea of a silverware washer. Like, they have some nice countertop silverware washers. But I don't know if that's really a priority of mine right now. Jack's, huh? I haven't heard of Jack's. I don't know that I've seen Jack's. Is Jack's available everywhere? I sort of have to be honest when it comes to frozen pizzas. I generally I like thin pizzas, but not all the time, sort of a thing. But when it comes to frozen pizzas, basically the only one I ever really keep getting is Newman's Own. And that's it's like a cracker crust. And all the other ones, they have a very obviously chemical leavened dough to them that or maybe the uniformity of the dough is too uniform, or we'll have to see what that's like if it's so widely sold. There was a company doing a pretty decent Detroit-style pizza for a while there, but they disappeared. I think they went under. Or got bought and got rid of, because that happens too. Breads and pizza dough. You're an older tater and you're not peeling as nice as a fresh tater. You'll mash just the same though. Yes, I'm talking to the sweet potato chat. If you think about it, it's really not too different than me talking to all of you. I need a good pizza dough is not a complicated recipe. It's used in water, but I guess I need more time working with a fresh pizza dough to making it myself, and I haven't done that. I was hopeful I could find some purple Japanese sweet potatoes just to put some interesting color on the plate tonight, but alas, the store I decided to go to did not have any today. I wasn't gonna store hop for taters. That's the oven coming to 300 degrees. With the duck in there. So those are set to go. And this so. I didn't realize that this is all I'd lined myself up for here tonight. My oven's in use. No cabbage. What should I do, chat? Like, I also, I looked at tonight's dinner menu, and I was considering adding, a green or rolls. The rolls are sort of out because I'm using the oven. And oven at a temp low enough that I don't want to put the bread in there. And I didn't buy the greens because I decided that was, too big of, I'm already doing 2 duck legs and 2 thighs. I did notice, cool, I can still grab it out of there easily. The duck actually had nutritional info on it. And so if you're eating whole duck, it's about 450 calories for 4 ounces. That said, I don't plan to be eating all of the oil and fat that is going to be in that container by the time I'm done cooking those legs. Right now, it's just straight duck, Mel. Well, and butter. I'll probably add a little bit of soy and a little bit of pepper towards the end. We still got... Yeah, we still got an hour here, chat. What we gonna do for an hour? That's not an hour of content, though. I can make food that's bad for me. Which... don't need. But I have... chocolate, honey roasted peanuts, more dates, more prunes, more cranberries and raisins, and pretzels. But I don't have enough chocolate to make a whole bunch of them. And it's chocolate, not white chocolate. Yeah, how we doing, chat? And then the ads hit. Right after I asked chat how we're doing. No, I'm not planting any citrus with it, Mel. Citrus is lovely. Maybe put some over the top once it's done, but... I think citrus is more of a... You're gonna stuff it with citrus and get that sort of oil and flavor permeating the whole thing, which is great for chicken. I've done that many times with chicken, regardless of what type of citrus. Which I also recommend if you find kumquats or the smaller pieces. They're the smaller types of citrus. They're perfect for that because they fill it better, and they're just so much more potent in many cases. It just... They made us the Culinary Institute of America in Greystone, which is the Napa campus. Pointing randomly like I know where Napa is from where I am. Anyways, their campus has a giant... Well, the campus has completely changed since I visited there. And I've been there a couple of times since, but when I went there with my bachelor's class, they had a ginormous garden. Well, a large garden and a ginormous garden by a normal person matter, not by like a company or a business level. And the kumquats, they were right off of the tree, like perfect, right that week we were there. And I think that's the only time I've really, really, truly enjoyed them. I think many other times they're abused. Now I'm going to say that and someone's going to be like, well, that isn't there anymore because they moved the driveway. Because I remember it was right next to the main driveway, main entrance driveway. Which the Greystone campus is an old winery. It's an old vineyard. It's an old, you have the giant old casks made of wood that they used before we had stainless steel tanks and stuff like that. And I talked before about them having the giant corkscrew collection. But it's also got the same sort of, the property's got some of the same hallmarks of a vineyard where, the windy, twisty entrance roadway. Sort of from the era where, I don't understand where that came. Is it just bragging about how long your drive, like, that's a thing in restaurants, it's a thing in vineyards. Like, it's like, there's some vineyards that just, like, play this game of, we're gonna make you drive in a spiral around our estate to the entrance. And I'm serious about this. There's ones that have spirals driveways to just have, you know, look at what we have, look at where you are. And it goes for restaurants too, or at least old school, like, Italian restaurants, old school apartments too, the awning, the steakhouses, that huge entrance to them. It's like measuring something. But anyways, there's a huge driveway and it's probably been changed. And so the plant's probably not there anymore. But yeah, just basically, yeah, my life's been pretty much just staring at VS Code. And yeah. And oddly enough, I just want to go back and do more of it too. Like, it's sort of strange. I don't remember myself having been this way about coding and trying to create something since I was in, like, high school. I undertook a giant project when I was in, like, high school trying to create... If anyone out there remembers, like, basically all of the games back in the days of, like, Quake 2 and, like, long time ago, had, like, a Planet website. There was a company out there doing, like, Planet Quake, Planet everything. And I had gone and gotten the domains for Ladder Planet and Planet Ladder, and was working on trying to create, like, a super database run live ladder for games for people to compete on. And it ended up I don't remember what happened. It ended up getting deleted or something, or corrupted on a drive, or I never actually ended up, but I spent forever just coding endless else-if statements as a high school student, not knowing arrays, not knowing, trying to work with databases, and I learned a ton as far as programming, but I never really, until now, I never really have been using much of it again. I mean, I've been doing websites here and there on and off since then, but never at that level of coding. And I'll be honest, this coding for this has got me jived to go back and redo other things that I gotta do as far as coding. Like, I don't know what's got me so hooked with this. I've also been thinking about streaming it. Like, I'm sitting here doing this coding, going back, and what's really stopped me doing that is I know that I'm gonna flub up and show, you know, crucial credentials or something along the line. I mean, I can't even show Discord without showing channels I don't want to show, so... I should point out, we're hanging out here for a bit. We got another hour on this until our first 90-minute check on the duck legs. It's going to be at least... There's the rare possibility they could be good. But it's very likely they're going to need another 30 minutes to an hour and 30 minutes from there. So we're hanging out for a minute. But if anyone's curious what I've been toying with and what I'm talking about as far as coding, let's see if I can't find that post I put in Discord not too long ago. Yeah. I'm working on redoing the sprinkles. And so, like, I've got a dashboard. I'm coding all of this to work on a Raspberry Pi, and I'm still getting errors. I'm still having problems getting everything working smoothly, so I haven't gotten to, I was hopeful today, tomorrow I'd be into doing some live testing, but not on actual data. Like, watch what's going on in chat and record things, but not care about what it's actually recording. And I haven't even gotten to that point yet, but that's what I'm working on. And the data that's in there is fake, and I'm going to hopefully be changing that. Nice. You gonna start streaming food? I'll have someone to raid. Looking like lemongrass for Wednesday. That's interesting. Usually chat goes for the spicy stuff. Not that tajine's all that, like... Tajine's a nice, mild spice. It's got some heat to it. Like, you could definitely overpower someone with it, but it's not... Lemongrass goop. Does what's her name sell those? So if you got your goop from Goop, I'd be worried what it smelled like. Am I succeeding in making chat and I want to buy anything called Goop? Ooh. Yay, an impressive atmospheric river. I love these terms they have for weather these days. First of the season takes aim at California. So it's gonna rain. I'm looking for any news of the day that we can chat about here, seeing what's going on in the world. carrots coated in E. coli going around apparently. Yum yum. Love that cheap fertilizer. Ooh, what's this? It's rather political. I don't know if I want to get into that. But Ben & Jerry's is suing Unilever, which owns Ben & Jerry's these days. And for political reasons. But can I make homemade eggnog? In what form? Like, I have Strauss eggnog here, which is pretty damn good all by itself. Like, I mean, yeah, it doesn't have the booze yet, but Italian pastina. Homemade apple cider. I can't even pronounce mono? I don't even know what that is. It sounds citrusy. Or olivey. Tree-based of some form. Or related. Nice head of broccoli. Photos of pets are welcome in the Discord. I'm allergic to them, but I love them. Yeah, there's all sorts of drinks that the Spanish have cultures, whether they're Puerto Rican, Mexican, y'all got some interesting and flavorful drinks that the rest of the world just doesn't know about. You know, whether it's horchatas or your fruit-based drinks or like Spanish cultures do fruit juice right. Ooh, nice cosmic. That's something I should probably do. Do a little more investigation on. I started drinking mostly on Captain Morgan. Like, pretty much Captain Morgan. And oh, did you get Automat? I don't have that directly in front of me, so I don't see it. Oh. But the last time I really sort of investigated and tried different types of rum, I bought a bottle of this. Actually, I was talking before about my bachelor's California trip with the CIA. I bought a bottle of 10 cane rum, which doesn't exist as a brand anymore, I don't believe. But it was a sort of like a extra version rum. It was only using first press sugarcane, and so it was very green, very grassy. Honestly, didn't love it, but that's not for that. It just wasn't like I wanted rum. I didn't want, fancy. Ooh, this could go great, and something that would normally use, say, like, I don't know, gin. But when I was in there, the rep was there, and so he hooked me up with this and like 2 or 3 other things just for buying a bottle when I was there. But that was the last time I did some like actual rum exploration. Maybe I'm sort of due to play around some more with that. Like, we can do that on stream too. Like, I've got Bacardi and Myers here, but like Myers, I basically Myers you almost only buy to bake with. It's like cooking rum. And Bacardi is sort of boring. Sorry, Bacardi. I don't know if I've... Let me check if I've made that before, Mel. I think I have. Plantains, okay. No, I haven't made that specific. It looks like fried rice, but with plantains. They found a 37,000-year-old saber-toothed kitten. Amazing, something could last 37,000 years and still be recognizable. Or that when someone dug into it, they recognized it was worthwhile. I mean, I wonder how many things have been destroyed in this world by some contractor being like, I don't care what it is, I need this done by Tuesday. Nice, Cosmic. Maybe I should put that, well... I think rum would be my main draw, unfortunately, since I don't have the culture pull. And they seem to keep having hurricanes. If it wasn't for that, if the hurricanes, Puerto Rico would probably be amazing. Absolutely amazing. I'm sure it's gorgeous. Sitting here in my little cubby house, like, envious, Probably be the same way for Cuba, too. We might, have some more interest in, fixing things with either of them, you know? Puerto Rico doesn't deserve to be our territory anymore. They deserve, like, they don't deserve to be stuck out there with ginormous taxes and no options to change anything. But I don't have a say in that vote, so. Like, imagine if the mob actually did be successful with the casinos in Cuba. Like, oh, that sounds, yeah, I'm sure the food's amazing too. That's something I have a sort of a problem with when it comes to vacationing and traveling places. Like, I feel like I need to set up, I need to hit up these, you know, things, and I these are the things I need to see, and I don't just explore and enjoy it for what it is. It turns into, you know, itinerary land. We gotta do this. Might as well turn these taters on. They can hold the little bit extra between at this point, I think. We're gonna need that later. We'll throw you in there. I'm thinking of all sorts of things that I could code into this. That, like not only am I psyched about building, like, this, and I've got other project ideas, like, I've got other project ideas I want to do to the bot now. Like, APIs allow you some really, like, in-depth info if you want to sit there and have a computer sit there and crunch numbers. Like, you can find out through the API. If you have, it depends on your level of API and your API level with Twitch. And I don't know if I'm necessarily going to be allowed all of these things. But one of the things you can do, I believe you can do, is find out who people are following. Like, you can find that out with rating. And then translate that into general interests of the group. And, like, you can be really sneaky with some of this stuff, too. And I am feeling like I am so behind the ball on what other people probably are already doing. And you can go even further with it if you wanted to do something like tie one of these LLMs into it. Like, most of them you're going to have to pay to use it. Like, you're not going to be able to do it, like, free off of, like, GPT or something. But you could have it sitting there. If you're paying the money for the API calls and you're using one of the other ones, you could probably have it sitting there analyzing chat. And being like, reading chat and giving you summaries and giving you suggestions and giving you, oh, this ties into that. By the way, Python is very sort of something else along with the coding. It sort of struck me as it's sort of interesting comparing different coding languages to different recipes. Because I started off doing most of the stuff that I'm doing now in C++, C++, and I've sort of migrated to largely doing a lot of Python stuff. And the difference between the two is like there's so much extra writing with C than Python, but Python just breaks. It's sort of like reading the difference between a normal online recipe with the blog and everything else you don't want to read is C+. And then the Escoffier really old school books where everything's broken down into 50 different sub-recipes is Python. I don't know if Chad will get that joke or not, but I made a shot for it. The reasoning behind that, I guess I can explain it, is C+ and C is all very structured, all very, actually not too far off of BASIC, and Python is very much more like, well, let's write a small little subroutine, and then we'll call it 50 other places. And so, like, Python turns out being, like, your main writing code is, like, start these sub-actions. And it's not really... And then those sub-actions are broken down into further sub-actions, calling other sub-actions, and referring to other sub-actions. I think of them as sub-actions. That's not proper Python terminology. But yeah, I never got any like formal programming education either, and that's because before I went to the Culinary Institute, I went to a small college, and that small college, in order to get into the more advanced stuff, like I was actively doing VB script with SQL and complex HTML when I was just out of high school. And I had to sit there and they wanted me to go and learn BASIC in order to work on my Visual Basic courses to go into, like, I was just like, why? Like, I have to sit here in this class for 6 months learning how to write Hello World? No, thank you. And in a language that I will never use. I also took all my courses to get my CCNA and never got my CCNA because at that time wireless wasn't really much of a thing. And I didn't want to have a life doing, I realized the fun stuff of the CCNA was what the managers and the bosses were going to be doing. Getting in there with your initial CCNA, you were going to be sitting there pulling cable. Not that sitting there configuring routers and switches and all that stuff is all that much more fun than pulling cable, but I found it more interesting. And if no one knows what a CCNA is, that's understandable. It's a Cisco Certified Networking Associate, which mattered at one point in time in the networking world as far as credentials. It's sort of like one of those basic things to, you have a CCNA? Sort of like asking if someone in the kitchen's got their serve safe. Or if they've passed the county health test. Gonna add some more butter to the leftover butter I didn't put on the duck. And some half and half in there for mixing in with our sweet taters. If I wasn't doing if I was doing regular potatoes, I might risk throwing the fat and butter from the duck in with the potatoes. Not going to do that since I'm doing sweet potatoes, but that idea did enter my brain, chat. Ooh, what am I doing for... That might work. Maybe we'll save the leftover duck fat and use that for frying our pupusas, or pan frying our pupusas tomorrow. Which, by the way, that's tomorrow's plans. Recipes up in the Discord if you'd like to join along. Going to be making pupusas with curtido, which is their sort of slaw, Salvadorian slaw, and salsa. But they're sort of, I say salsa, not hot salsa. Like, Salvadorian salsa is more like tomato sauce. Salsa. Like, salsa is sauce. Translate it. Cheddar smothered sweet potatoes, huh? Oh, Sola's going nuts for Thanksgiving prep stuff. She's got all sorts of stuff out right now. There's actually a pupusa restaurant in Santa Rosa that I keep meaning to hit up, and I haven't ever made it in there. It's not really like, it's close to the freeway, but it's not like in downtown Santa Rosa, so I think it's probably more of like, it's been there since before I moved out here. So, like, it must be doing okay. Maybe it's hurting these days. I think every restaurant's hurting these days, but... Nice broccoli. Okay, I'm not going to say the name of this. I guess I start... Oh. Let me read the article first before I just repeat the joke. Oh, I've read about this before. So it's just the title. Yeah, we're going to skip that one. Olive oil price is expected to drop after better harvest in southern Europe. That's a great news. We'll see if that actually makes it to the supermarket or not, though. Is there a reason specifically the tart tatin? Do you need that, like, caramelly? Like, I absolutely loved, if it's in my slideshow, I've done it several times, but just an upside down pineapple cake with the cake being nice and, it's just delicious all by itself. You do want to skin your peaches for that, though. It's a pain in the butt, but peeling the peaches, the skin just doesn't jive with those cakes. And many times it actually sort of messes with you cutting them, especially if you don't have a sharp... I mean, it's a cake knife. I don't really expect everyone to have a sharp cake knife, but if you don't have a sharp cake knife, it's going to pull and tear if you leave the skins on them. It's just, meh. Oh no. Yeah, pet of broccoli. I've just never really been a big fan of blanching things. It's just never. It's always it's right there with removing the skin off of just about everything's annoying, isn't it? Whether it's that sounds bad. That would work well in some of these horror, themed Twitch channels. But whether you're talking peaches, tomatoes, grapes, pepper skins, it's just always a pain in the butt. It always ends up being a much better product if you go through the aggravation. But it's so annoying. If you're doing them small and a typical, like if you're using the pan that I'm using for these sweet potatoes, a small little couple quart thing, that's one thing. But if you're using like a 20-gallon pot to blanch these things, like you're in a restaurant or something, it usually doesn't do too much to them as far as getting too mealy on the outside of that, because they're getting shocked quicker and you can put them into ice baths right away. But if you're doing it, if you have to cook them a little bit more because you're in a smaller cooking vessel, they can get a little mealy blanching them too. So our sweet potatoes are cooked now. They're looking nice and soft at this point. And so I'm just going to put a lid on that and let them hang out until our duck is ready. Don't want to start mashing those too early, because if you mash them, then you have problems hot holding them. I can leave them there in the hot water. They'll stay nice and warm, and then I can mash them. And once you start mashing them, that clock hits. They can sit there pretty happy for quite a while. I'm sitting here thinking of all of the places that I have worked that had ridiculous setups that absolutely did not work for keeping mashed potatoes. Things like, we're going to have a double bain marie and then put a pastry bag in there, and that's going to somehow magically keep these things safe, temperature-wise. Or, you put it in a pan, thin layered, so it does actually stay legally safe, but it's dried out and nasty. It's just, there's no good way of keeping potatoes once you mash them. Well, the problem with that, Mel, is I still have the duck breasts in the fridge to use. My normal response to chat wanting to try my food is get a patent on a replicator. I would happily put my name on that patent. I will make you whatever you want the rest of your life. And with that statement, I promise it isn't the whole same sort of joke where any mushroom's edible, it just maybe only once. Yeah. Where is this new atmospheric river hitting the California supposed to be hitting? We're writing this in the SF Gate, which makes me think that it's not here because they haven't said it's going to hit us. Oh, it does sound like we're going to be hitting it in the end of the next week. We haven't had much in the... Well, I've discussed this too. Like, I'm not really expecting wildfires in Sonoma County after us having the recent several of them. Because the major areas that they can probably happen have been hit and don't have fresh fuel for them to happen again. However, I haven't heard a whole lot about wildfires in the northern part of the state this year, and this hitting us should probably kill a good portion of what's going on, if there is anything going on. I say if there is anything going on, there's always something going on. Though remarkably, and perhaps quite beautifully, is that gonna work? Nope. Looks like things are pretty good from CAL FIRE's perspective right now. We've got a couple of prescribed burns going on. We got some stuff going on in the southern part of the state, but this has got to be gorgeous for them this time of year, for them to not have anything through here. I'm reading chat now. I went off on my own little thing here, and chat's chatting with themselves, which is amazing. Yeah, head of broccoli, scalped, au gratin, That's the way to go. My greater family is all ecstatic about the sour cream potatoes. That dumping baked mix between pre-made cubed hash browns, cheddar cheese, a container of sour cream, some butter, maybe some onions. Are sultanas any kind of raisin, just yellow ones? That's a good question that I don't know the answer to, Head of Broccoli. I would just make the assumption that it's a specific variety local to the origin, because grapes are all over the place as far as different types. Like, you see green and red in the store, and nowadays maybe you'll see some artisan ones at other times. Like, if you see champagne grapes, buy them. Like, they are so sweet. They're small. They're tiny. They're like eating pea-sized grapes. That's absolutely what it is, Dinner with Mom. My family is greatly... My extended family has greatly moved on from there, but yes, I have a largely Midwest origin of my family, at least on one side. And welcome in, Dinner with Mom. Oh, Cosmic, you're reminding me. I have a prescription. I ordered it and I hadn't gone and grabbed it. I should have grabbed it today. Oh, Dinner with Mom, I think, is referring to, Mel, is Midwestern cuisine is either meat and potatoes or casseroles. Like, Midwest loves casseroles, whether it's potato or anything else. So, like, that's what we're, like, casseroles galore. Yep. I've done it before, and I saw another streamer recently did a casserole with tater tots as the topping. It's an interesting. It takes a little work sitting there organizing all of them, keeping them all nice on the pan, but they make for a nice, easy topping. Probably save you a lot of time over. Is that what hot dish is for you, Dinner with Mom? My main thing is just basically the same thing as a casserole in my mind, but I honestly don't have any like hot dish dishes that people are like, that's hot dish. I've just heard it been referenced so many times in my life. Yeah, Head of Broccoli too, because a lot of there's a lot of well, unless you're strictly buying everything like just dumped from the bag, there's typically chopping and mixing. But okay, Dinner with Mom. I didn't know that was so prevalent. I thought I was almost being creative when I had tater tots as a ingredient challenge, and I made a whole bunch of different small hot dishes, apparently. You know, it's sort of strange with the Midwest sort of having all the Great Lakes right there that, you know, they all eat meat and potatoes. There's like no seafood in their diet. Well, that depends, Mel. I'm going to use the Detroit Red Wings as a reference here. The Detroit Red Wings are in the Western Conference. Well, they used to be in the Western Conference, and I think they're in the Eastern Conference now. But I think that means they're in the Midwest. Oh, hey, I curdled my half and half here. Not really, but we cooked that a bit more than I wanted to. Honorary Canadian, eh? Melted butter and dairy. How we doing on our time here? Another 11 minutes on our first check. Michelin Guide went and watered itself down again. Not that, well, this is going to sound like I have an issue with Texas. I don't really have an issue with Texas. But Michelin Guide is now covering Texas. I sort of feel like, I don't know, maybe there's a couple restaurants on that list, but the vast majority of that list is things that I don't really feel like are of the level of what Michelin used to keep itself to. Like, the whole idea that Michelin is rating barbecue joints is a little bit, to me. Like, I think barbecue joint, and I want to see, you know, tin metal roof and everything coated in smoke, and it not really looking like the most sanitary place in the world, because most of them probably are not. And they're being rated by Michelin. Well, Michelin, at least, and this is the other thing that sort of gets me with this, with the barbecue, I think, is like, the thing with Michelin is consistency. Consistency. Let's leave out the fact that I have said my personal motto is everything about consistency ruins food. But, you know, the idea of if you go to a Michelin restaurant, the bathrooms are going to be clean. They're going to take care of you of a certain standard. you're going to have this, you're going to have that. And it's, unless you're looking for that, which many people are not really worried about that when they're just trying to put some food in their stomach, it's a little overpriced and unworth. But if you're going out for anniversary, you're going out for fine dinner, you're exploring a new city and you want to go to their fine dining spot, that's what it's for and what it should be for. Not Jack's barbecue stand. Pizza name got in my head from earlier, but I need some water. Excuse me. And now my nose is gonna go nuts. Something's got it upset. Yeah, I want to get the new scramble in chat too. It's so cool coming up with the definitions on everything. Like, it's hilarious some of them that come up too, like that are completely wrong. Like I talked about one before where, like, I don't even remember what the word was, but the definition came up from Wikipedia with, it was explaining stuff from Marvel and the Marvel universe. Oh, it's mostly made Mel. It's not like I got to get other things working in order to use it. And actually, at this point, I have to edit it again to work with my new system. Right now, I'm mostly like, if you notice that dashboard I put up there, it's called SprinkleBot. I'm 100% right now been working and focusing on making that Raspberry Pi system for recording and keeping track of sprinkles. And so I've been working on getting that working. And so it doesn't really make much sense to, throw this new scramble out there and then have to immediately edit it to, like, it is not even set up to work the way I'm doing it now, but to put it out there and then have to change it for the new system. Same with the bot that I'm using now, Mix It Up bot, is just going in a direction, like, I am not a VTuber. I really could care less about 90% of the stuff they've done in the last year. And I've gotten to the point where I'm just gonna code them out of my existence. Let's take a look at what we got going on down here. We have some beautifully, mostly submerged duck roasting there. But I am going to give those a little bit longer than this time. We're going to give them the full 30. Yeah, Stream Deck is, like, they revolutionized the console. Like, Nintendo's having trouble with them. But it seems like most tech seems to boil down to this. Most things in the world seem to boil down to this closed infrastructure. We need to control everything. And why don't you do what you want? And it's sort of like the difference between the PC and the Apple back in the day and the PC and the Mac, or governments, or but it's been a lot of fun getting back into things. Like in the past, I've toyed with Raspberry Pis, and I've gotten some things to link up right between them and my PC and working them on the network. And part of the thing that's probably spurning some of this coding is I've now finally got it where I can hook them up properly and just transfer files across the network and not worry about, oh, I gotta transfer this to USB to transfer it to that, or it's amazing how things get easier and you don't even notice it. You know, like, I'm complaining about not being able to transfer things over the network, which, honestly, I could probably complain about most of my life. But the alternative to that, it's a lot easier USB key than dongle USB versus, you know, write a CD, write a floppy, write a other type of floppy. Yeah, I'm getting to the point where I almost want to set up a Raspberry Pi server for handling a whole bunch of things. I have 2 Raspberry Pi 4s, and then I've got 2 Nanos. And the Nanos I love for other things. Like, they're great for, like, smart house things. Like, they're not great for doing programming or doing much because they're not very powerful. But it was great when I had an assistant still in my house. I don't have a Google Assistant or Siri or anything in my house anymore. Back when I was using one of those, it was great for being able to just network into that and be able to say, hey, turn on my home stereo and use my 1990s era non-internet stereo with 6 CD carousel and put, you know, Spotify on it. And speaking of that, I should set that up again. But things broke down and I haven't quite fixed many of them. Like, the lava lamp hasn't been running during stream for quite a while since I just can't hook up with... Ever since I had the huge network shakeup back in the day, when I was complaining about that for several weeks on stream, I haven't gotten several of my plugs, smart plugs, to properly reconnect to my network. Smart House is amazing. The maintenance of Smart House is a royal pain in the ass because so much of it is by small little companies that keep getting bought up and changed hands, and every time you go to deal with something, you got to download a new app from a new company in order to deal with it. Actually, one of the articles I scanned over here when I was looking for something to chat about earlier was someone talking about doing an open source garage opener. I don't have a garage opener, but I have read quite a bit about garage openers and smart garage openers being a royal pain in the butt. Park outside, keep the tractor. Yeah. The tractor and the implements are probably going to last you longer than the car, to be honest. And if they don't last you long, you're probably hoping they last you longer. Yeah, Mel, also sort of, like, I was explaining my experience with that, and I can sort of see a lot of people having the same issue I had, where I went into college and I was learning half new things. Like, I never properly learned any of these languages, but I've used them. And the idea that I had to go and spend several years, or at least a year, if not a year and a half, studying languages that had no use to me, practical, real life, and like no one was ever going to use again because they were outdated in the real world, to be able to use the real world stuff, totally killed my interest in like trying to be serious about computer science in school. Exactly, head of broccoli. No, I was talking earlier about how I think one of the trees near us is having its big nut year when they make sure and push out enough seeds that the squirrels can't eat them all. And I think that's happening right now, and my truck gets to sit underneath it this year. So. I think I am going to take a 10-minute break here. We've got 20 minutes until our duck is likely finished. I'm guessing it's going to be done then. And so we'll come back and we'll get going with cream corn and finishing up the potatoes and all that good stuff. I'm going to give you the infomercial dude here for the next 10 minutes, and I'll see all you lovely folks in a little bit.
Ladies and gentlemen, the management of this theater takes great pleasure in making this announcement. To each lady attending this theater each week, will receive absolutely free a fascinating 12-piece kitchen cutlery set, one piece each time. It is really interesting and amazing to know how you can prepare your meals in an appetizing and pleasing manner. There's an old saying, and a true one, that what is pleasing to the eye is bound to be pleasing to the appetite. I'm going to demonstrate this set to you, and I want you to watch it very closely. The first cutter that I'm going to show you, now this first one is known as the Parisian cutter. Wind it through the potato like a corkscrew. When the cutter appears on the opposite side, pull the cutter out. Place the handle in the center and twist it out. This is what they call a French curl. When you fry these, they come out like donuts, nice and brown. Serve them with your steaks or pot roast them. Unwind it, there's two curls out of the one potato. Tomorrow morning for breakfast, wind a little strip of bacon around the potato and serve them with bacon and eggs. They're delicious. Different colored vegetables, wind them together and you get the two colors. Here's a little trick cut. Split the curl halfway through the center. If you're making a shrimp salad and you happen to run short of shrimp, mix these in with the regular shrimp. Upon my word, you couldn't tell the difference until you start to eat them. Now the rest of the potato, you stuff it. We'll call this a little chicken. We'll call this here some hamburger. You might have a little meat that's been laying in the ice box for a few days. Chop the meat up fine, season it highly, stuff it into the center of the potato and bake them with the skins on. When they're done, cut them in two. Serve them on the half shell, just like that. Serve them in slices when company calls. The more company you have, the thinner you cut the slices. If your mother-in-law calls, give her a beak piece like that. Now the second tool in the set is known as the garnishing knife. Everything you cut with this must come out fancy. Watch this, please. You cut down, you turn the potato, and then you cut through the edge. First one way, and then the other. Sweet potatoes cut like this. Drop them into a little batter of pancake flour and fry them. When they're golden brown, sprinkle molasses on them. Serve them with strips of bacon for breakfast while they're delicious. Here's beets, you pickle them, and carrots, you steam or cream them. In making the original French fried potato, cut them in thick slices. Put them one on top of each other. Cross-cut the slices, and you'll never eat a French fry any other way. The potatoes cut like this will not absorb the fat because they're garnished around. Pineapples cut for your pineapple and cheese salad, cut them the same way. Here is one, and this is a dandy. Cuts any thickness or any size. Open it for a thick slice, close to the top for a thin slice. Saratoga chips, you can make them for 3 or 4 pennies a pound. Just pull the blade towards you like this. If you want the slices thicker than this, open the blade, there's a thick slice. Shoestrings for your Friday fish dinner, cut them down like this. Chop them up for your vegetable soup. What this knife is really intended for is for cutting the cabbage. You know the old-fashioned board, how you rip and tear, sometimes nipping the ends off your fingers. Lay it flat and pull it lightly towards you over the cabbage. The weight of the knife across the cabbage is all that's necessary. Why, ladies, when you get slaw cut as fine as this, you'll certainly appreciate eating it. The crowning feature of the set is the cutter that I'm going to show you now. This is known as the Champeen Vegetable Mincing Knife and Noodle Cutter. Now, when you want to make some real fine noodles at home, You roll the dough out like this. Dip this into a little flour so it doesn't stick to the dough, and as you roll it over the dough, that will cut the noodles in long strips, 10 at a time. Did you ever try to chop up a little nuts for cake? Why, I've seen ladies chop nuts and the nuts land up on the ceiling. Sometimes you chop the ends off your fingers. When you want to chop up a little nuts for cake, cooked meat, clams for chowder, soup greens to throw into your soup, making a little pepper or chicken hash is just a few strokes rolling it up and down. Why, here is without a doubt the meanest thing in the world to cut parsley. Put that in a grinder, you really grind it too fine. This machine, instead of crushing the parsley, cuts it quick, clean, and dry, leaving every bit of the juice and every bit of the flavor. Now, to clean this machine, you press the button. Rinse it out in a little water. When you're through using it, hang it up and let it dry. Here's one here that every lady should have in her home, known as the Parisian scoop. You lay it flat, once to the right, once to the left. When you scoop them out, you'll get a perfect round little ball. You can pot roast these, cut them out of cheese or cut them out of butter. When you're serving a fruit cocktail in the summertime, take your fresh cantaloupe, scoop them out like this, mix them with apples, pears, and watermelons, makes a delicious fruit cocktail served with a little cracked ice like you see here. But here's a tool, ladies, if you ever do get it, you'll thank the day you've seen this demonstration. When you press, it locks. It's like a pair of human hands. Reach in the oven and take the biscuits out of the oven. Ever take the hot potatoes out of the oven and burn yourself on the elbow? A roast chicken out of the oven, a piece of meat out of the pot, spinach, asparagus out of the water. Why, around canning season, when you're preserving the fruits, to take the hot fruit jars out of the water like that, that machine is worth dollars to you. And here's another one that I really know you'll enjoy having in your kitchen, known as the safety grater. No doubt you're familiar with the old-fashioned grater. I've seen ladies take a grater and rip the knuckles off. When you want to grate up potatoes for delicious potato pancakes, this has a smooth, flat edge, impossible to cut yourself. Just like you were washing clothes, you rub it up and down, and you really grate your vegetables real fine, retaining all the flavors and all the juices. Breadcrumbs for when you're serving veal cutlets or anything like that. You want a little breadcrumbs to fry your fish in? Why, there's the greatest proposition in the world. Use that for coconut, cheese, or horseradish. When you're through with it, just hit it down like that. That knocks all the food out. Rinse it out in a little water and hang it up and let it dry. Now, here is a stone made of carborundum and sapphire quartz, which is made purposely to keep these knives sharp. When they get dull, a few strokes over the edge like this, and you can put a keen cutting edge on it. If you have a dull knife or a dull pair of scissors, an old sickle or a scythe, a lawnmower, cleaver, an axe, there's a tool that will really put an edge on the knife so the knife will really cut for you. I just want to give you an idea of how sharp that knife really is when you sharpen it with that stone. Ladies, I've seen some of you try to open up cans. Now, there's a can of Campbell's baked beans. I've seen ladies open up a can and you poke a hole in it, go around the top, hippity-hop, and your finger slips. Let me show you a real proposition. Look, lay it on the can, lift up the safety, and turn the key. That locks itself on the can. No harder than you were winding up your watch. Wind up the key and that'll cut the top off of the can slick and smooth. Notice how the end raises itself up in the air so you can lift the lid off, giving you a clean, smooth edge. Now, that can be used for sardine cans, square cans, or round cans, exactly the same way. Now, this tool here, my dear friends, needs no introduction. This will save you on an average of $20 to $30 every year you use it as a peeling knife. Here's a grater for cheese, coconut, or horseradish, a fish scaler for scaling your fish, And when you're coring your apple, it's just a slight twist of the wrist, and there's the apple core. There's one more tool that I want you to see, and I want you to watch this one very closely. Many a times when you're baking a pie, you have a pudding in the oven. I've seen ladies wrap a towel around your hand, and many a times you burn your fingers. Hook this onto the pot like this and lift the hot pots off the top of the stove. You've got a pie pan in the oven? Get a hold of the pie pan like this. Why, you couldn't get it off with a team of horses. This will positively lift 100 pounds. There's a pail of water weighs 50 or 60 pounds. That's the way you pick it up. But there's one more tool. I'll be all through and I'll be finished. Oh, now the next tool and the last one is what they call the Sarah Bernhardt cutter. This was invented by the head chef of the Imperial Hotel in the city of Berlin, Germany. You place the screw into the center of the vegetable. Twist the vegetable until the threads catch a hold, then you wind this up. You keep winding until you utilize the whole potato. The faster you turn, the quicker the slices. Why, ladies, here's a machine for slicing onions. The first onion that you slice with this cutter, you'll bless the day you've got a hold of it. Every slice cut exactly the same thickness. Every slice cut the same size. In making what they call a rosette, pull the vegetable out like this. Pin the ends together with a toothpick. Drop that potato into the hot fat and fry it. That will come out like a donut, golden brown. If you're serving a nice fish dinner, a little parsley goes in the center with the fish all around it, makes a very appetizing dish. Did you ever try to slice onions with a knife? You know how you get one thick slice and one thin slice? Run the knife through the center. That will separate each slice individual. Almost like magic, there is every slice cut exactly the same thickness and the same size. Wouldn't you like to have a set like this in your kitchen? Why, of course you would. Now don't forget, attend this theater every week and receive this 12-piece fascinating...
Hi, chat.
Welcome back. So we got another 7 minutes on the timer at this point with the duck legs. And at that point they'll have gotten roughly 2 hours at 300. I think I'm going to start by heating the cream corn. But so much about that infomercial is just so wrong. If you've ever used one of those twisty things that goes down like he did there, first off, he left like half of the potato undone. And they're not exactly fun to do as you get towards the end. They get a little wobbly. Two, most vegetables, including most potatoes, don't like having a screw driven down the center of them. They don't take very well to that. And the size or thickness of it is entirely dependent on your speed being constant, turning this way and getting the screw to be constantly into the vegetable. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. But some of the other ones absolutely do work. I own a fair number of them, to be honest. Yep, Ty. Welcome in. So these are obviously up to temp. I'm going to touch those with a bit more salt. We're going to add some garlic in there. Or pepper in there. The other salt. Now we'll get the garlic. And did I time? Flame down to just keep that warm now. And I'm going to strain these taters now. I would guess so, head of broccoli. It's close enough that it likely is. I don't know off the top of my head. Add in our dairy and butter with our sweet potatoes. Pinch of salt. Shake of sugar. Let's see what our duck looks like, chat. That's not the duck. There we go. There's the duck. I think that turned out all right. What do you think, chat? Those duck legs look okay to you? So as I was saying earlier, these are not duck confit. These are sort of like a quick version of confit. Duck confit is, as I know it, a 2-3 day step process between cooking them, letting them completely cool, all that stuff. So now we just have some nicely roasted legs to use for dinner tonight, which is probably what this is best for. And we still got the duck breasts to use for something else here in the future. Take our somewhat savory seasoned creamed corn. And let's see, is this going to come out in one piece? I was worried about even the let's just move that out of the way. I don't want to deal with that with all the liquid in it again. Oh, dad joke. Oh, dad joke. I'm now on a clock for getting a couple of photos here. So what do we think, chat? What would you change about this dish? What would you personalize? See if we can fit it in there. Just about. I thought about the dinner rolls. The problem with the dinner rolls was the oven. I couldn't do both of them, and the duck and the rolls in the same oven. Nutmeg on the sweet potatoes. That I can do. I see you over there on YouTube. Welcome in. Fan was blowing most of that off of the dish. We got some nutmeg on there. That was a good call. I agree with that one. Plum sauce. But I do think this is going to call it for this evening's stream. Going to be back here tomorrow. We're going to be making pupusas tomorrow. Going to be making Salvadorian style slaw. Gonna be making Salvadorian style salsa, which is more of a tomato sauce than what you think of when you hear the word salsa. I hope you come back to join me. We also got the ingredient challenge on Wednesday. It's looking like it's gonna be lemongrass. Maybe we'll have a late minute rally for tagine. I think I'm going to leave it right here, folks. I hope you all have an amazing evening. I hope you had a great weekend. Best of luck to you in the start of a new week. Hope to see you here for how it's going for you. Good night.